Imagine you're walking into a grocery store for just a couple of things. You grab a small basket, convinced it'll be more than enough. But as you move down the aisles, you start adding a little of this, a little of that. By the time you reach the checkout, your basket is overflowing, heavy, and you're struggling to carry it without dropping everything. Now replace that basket with the responsibilities you've taken on in life. It all started small. A few tasks here, a few obligations there. But before you knew it, you were carrying way more than you could handle, and yet you didn't stop to grab a cart. You kept going, convinced that you could manage it all. We've all been there. That feeling of being overwhelmed isn't just a product of what's going on around us. More often than not, it's driven by what's going on inside of us, the hidden beliefs we hold about responsibility. Let's talk about those beliefs. You see, from a young age, we're taught certain things about what it means to be responsible. For some, it's the idea that being responsible means always being the one people can depend on. For others, it's the belief that success is tied to how much we can juggle without dropping the ball. And while those lessons might have had good intentions, they plant the seeds for a heavy burden later in life. Take my friend Sarah, for example. Sarah grew up in a family where she was always praised for being the reliable one. She got good grades, took care of her siblings, and never asked for help. By the time she reached adulthood, she had internalized this belief. To be responsible meant to never say no, to never drop the ball, and to always be in control. So when she started her career, she took on extra projects, said yes to every request, and was the go-to person for anything and everything at work. And for a while, it seemed like she was thriving. But soon the cracks began to show. Sarah was constantly exhausted, snapping at loved ones and feeling like she was drowning in all the responsibilities she'd taken on. And the worst part, she blamed herself for not being able to handle it all. It never occurred to her that maybe, just maybe, she was carrying too much. This is the hidden impact of our subconscious beliefs about responsibility. We take on more than we should because we've been conditioned to believe that saying no is selfish, that asking for help is a sign of weakness, or that our worth is tied to how much we can achieve. And because these beliefs are often so deeply ingrained, we don't even realize they're guiding our actions. Think about it. How many times have you taken on something because you felt like you had to? Maybe you agreed to work overtime because you didn't want to disappoint your boss. Or maybe you volunteered for yet another family event because you felt like it was your duty. All the while, those little subconscious whispers are telling you that if you don't do it, you're not being good enough. And let's be clear, responsibility is important, but there's a fine line between being responsible and being overwhelmed. And that line often gets blurred by our subconscious beliefs. Here's the thing. Our beliefs about responsibility often stem from our desire for approval and validation. We want to be seen as dependable, capable, and worthy. But when we constantly chase after that validation, we end up taking on more than we can handle. And that's when overwhelm sets in. So how do we stop this cycle? How do we lighten the load without feeling like we're letting people down? First, we need to recognize the beliefs that are driving us. Ask yourself, why do I feel the need to take on so much? Is it because I genuinely want to help? Or is it because I'm afraid of what people will think if I say no? Once you start to identify the root of your overwhelm, you can begin to challenge those beliefs. Second, we need to practice setting boundaries, not just with others, but with ourselves. It's easy to blame external factors for our stress, but often we're the ones who keep piling on the responsibilities. Learning to say no, to delegate, and to ask for help isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of self-awareness. Lastly, we have to redefine what it means to be responsible. Responsibility isn't about doing everything for everyone. It's about knowing your limits, prioritizing your well-being, and making sure that you're not sacrificing yourself in the process. It's okay to let go of the belief that you need to be everything to everyone. At the end of the day, we all have responsibilities, but when those responsibilities start to feel overwhelming, it's important to take a step back and ask ourselves, am I carrying too much because I truly have to, or because I think I must? Believe me when I say, you deserve a life of light burdens, one of peace and one where you do not need to perform to feel loved or accepted. That sums it up. Catch you on the next episode. Cheers.